Hey everyone, so big surprise, and by big surprise, I mean not a surprise at all, that Michelle didn't go on her little trip. She didn't make it to her classes. She's claiming weather affected her flights. I suppose I'm not going to do that because I don't care that much, because I wouldn't donate her saying she was going to a class. But if somebody really wanted to know, I suppose they could look up Houston flights and see if they were delayed or canceled, as she claims. Now, she says that Valley Girl's in the chat validating what she says. And correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'll see in editing if I was mistaken, that she says that Valley Girl has her dogs. And then it's like almost like a little bit later, Jake ends up walking up, so she has to hurry and say, "Oh, you're going to have him tomorrow," to Valley Girl. Ski ends up getting upset because, and I fast forwarded through this part because it didn't seem paramount to the plot of this video, that Valley Girl was in a wreck, and I'm only repeating it now because whomever was watching saw her announce that on his live, and he got upset about it because he hadn't heard this, and he questions the validity of her claim as to Valley Girl being in an accident. But what I started thinking about was the fact that she's so unconcerned and so nonchalant if Valley Girl did get in a wreck, and all she cares about is Valley Girl taking care of her dogs and asking Valley Girl to cut her dog's nails, which I think I do my own dogs, so I don't know for sure, but couldn't that be like a couple hundred, especially a dog that's bigger that would put up a fight to have done? So I guarantee Michelle will never be as thankful or grateful as she should be for Valley Girl's help and caretaking. He also, I think he mutes her. If it's funny as hell to me, if it is trolling and he keeps muting her, I don't know if he says later it's her mic. She's having mic problems. However, either way, doesn't really matter what she says because it would have all been bullshit. She blames her water. So what, you need your septic tank emptied? Is that, I wonder if that's what she was getting to. I'd love to hear feedback from somebody who knows a lot more about it. I know I watched at my mom and stepdad's previous home, well, 2 homes ago, they had a septic tank. It was out in the country, and I watched it be emptied. I know that the pressure can get low too if it's especially full, which is really gross to think about. So you didn't go on a trip that you raised hundreds, potentially thousands, I don't know. It cost thousands for me to go on a trip like that with a hotel stay and everything and gas, to not go because, so is it the weather and the flights that were canceled, or it was this water issue? You be the judge. Yeah, total BS. Anybody donating to her, it's on you at this point. You're enabling a lady who should be changing or making big changes. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot more devastating for her in the end, or she's going to end up abusing others to get what she wants. So either way, you're contributing to one of those scenarios, and neither are positive. She also looks very bad to me. I'm not look shaming, but the color under her eyes and things like that. And I know I look a mess. I just don't think she looks healthy today. But I would have been more surprised had she come back and at least tried to pretend she went to the class, but I knew she doesn't have the imagination or the knowledge they would have taught her at the class to come back to even pretend that she'd gone on it. And she was going on and on about needing a rope and harness, and eventually ended up telling us all that the class provides it. Now, a rational person, I could believe they ended up finding out that information. However, Michelle knows that she would know that the class provided it, and if she needed her own equipment after leaving it at the last company and somebody stealing it, and then she told me directly in Bot's chat that the girl that stole it had theft charges pressed against her for other theft, not because of the theft of the rope and harness. I would assume that her employer could file a claim, especially if there's a police report that proves the potential of the person stealing, which, whatever. But anyway, let's take a listen. It's a bit anticlimactic. I thought it'd be, I mean, granted, I don't want her lying about having a stroke or claiming she self-harmed when really she just got drunk over a weekend and then tried making everyone feel bad for questioning whether or not she was brain damaged. But I also didn't think it would be as lame as saying she didn't go because first is the flight and then is the water, but you'll see for yourself. Let's take a look. And I hope everyone had a good weekend. Talk to you soon.
It wasn't a joke. He does blame her for that. Yeah. So, you know.
What's up there, Lolita? Hold on, one more thing.
Marshmallow.
How do I get that out? Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Yeah, but I was watching my dogs for like a week and a half. Well, a week and a half. Well, for 3 days.
Yeah, I bet she's watching.
So what's going on?
You want to?
You know I got banned.
Listen to Charlotte. Huh?
What? I said, do you know I got banned? Oh yeah.
It really sucks. I can teach you how to build new channels quickly.
That's yeah. I'll ask off
I'm
stream.
really good at that.
Yeah,
you got volume up. I can't hear you.
You got a lot of practice with the building channels.
A lot. I'm just not doing it anymore. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. Legit,
Yeah.
it sucks. I'm sorry. I know
Thank
how I
you.
felt those first couple days.
Yeah.
So, as for me scamming people about me going on my trip, right?
She just said her trip. She just. So it's a trip even to her?
Are you there, or am I going to be muted?
They're not muted. I can hear you. I thought you
Okay,
keep going.
so 3 o'clock morning before last, I went to get some water out of my ice maker, and it didn't work. And I'm like, oh, my refrigerator's going out. But then I turned my water on, and I had no water. And it's not because I don't pay my bills.
Remember how hard of a time you gave that lady for having an electrical problem in one room? And how you made everyone think she couldn't afford to pay her bills and that she was homeless? Well, granted, Molly's channel believed it and talked about it, but you only did that so you could play the hero and keep demanding you pay her electric bill, even though she didn't need you to. So, don't wonder why she reached out to Trey months later when you say things about your water, and think about if people were saying it's because you're homeless, had a channel with 80,000 plus subs talking about you and that you're homeless, can't pay your bills, all because you have a septic problem or something.
My phone volume's up and I can barely hear you.
I'm up and I can barely hear you.
Probably because I don't have the channel anymore. I'm going through StreamYard through Safari.
That's what I use.
Okay, well,
The phone browser.
like 2 days ago, I didn't have you can go anywhere. I go, right? But then, let's talk about the scamming part, okay?
What's the scamming?
Huh?
What's the scamming allegation over? What is it?
Yeah, the scamming allegation. So, my flight was supposed to take off Friday at 8:10.
Right. See, unlike Michelle, I am trying to address these criticisms and deal with them.
Chat girls in the chat, she can 100%. Like, chat girls in the chat, she can 100%. Like,
Jeez, my phone volume was actually all the way off, not your volume. I can hear you, not I couldn't
now I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
All right, good. There we go. What's up?
So the Friday, like last Friday, I was supposed to fly out. Like, there was horrible weather, and my flight kept getting booked. And if Valley Girls in the chat, she can 100%, like, agree to this. What happened is that at 11:58,
She thinks saying 11:58 an exact time like that makes it more believable. It does not. She proceeds to say that the classes were rescheduled, and at various times she calls different mods of hers to validate what she's saying. I'd feel sympathy or pity for them, but at this point they're doing it to themselves. And if anybody just chooses to refund this next trip, not reimburse, refund, but fund yet another one, y'all are insane. I don't believe she ever had any intention on going, and it's almost blatant disrespect that she is so frivolous about the excuses she uses for not following through.
so I'm booked back in my class on the 8th and the 9th. Valley Girl knows this. All of my water. Well, let me tell you about that night. I called Valley Girl at 1 o'clock in the morning. Her husband was going to take care of the dogs while I was gone, right? And she can say this in the chat. She was like, do you know what time it is? At 1 o'clock Saturday morning. So much. Because I've never been away from him for more than like 3 or 4 days. And I really have no water at my house, and Valley Girl knows this. So I'm dropping.
Somebody said maybe if you would just pay your water bill, but you're on well water, so.
Like, say that this is true. So Jake is going to her tomorrow, and I'm checking into a hotel in Columbus. I'm not saying what kind of hotel, but it's not a 4-star, right? I'll be there till the 5th. Because, of course, but I'm not building my channel ski. It's not worth it.
I hear you.
It's not. I mean, I'm so sick of people saying I scam people, I do this, I do that. And it's going to ask nuts for something, okay? And I never take it down. And I never even asked her for it.
You have mic issues again. Are you there?
Maybe Valley Girl can trim Jake's nails because they're getting long, and when he hits the hardwood floors, it's like, He did it for me last time she got them. Hold on.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's a tough. You know that she got in a wreck? Why, you can't just say stuff like that about people.
No, I texted her, and she was like, I just had a wreck.
The internet knows. I said, does the internet know? I don't think I even said that. I don't know what the hell. You know what? I'm kicking off the show now. Bye. You're out of here. You're out of here. You got any final words? You're out of here, though. You're just exposing people's, I don't even know that to be true at this moment. You're just exposing stuff. A little finger wave don't impress me. Look, either way, gonna impress me. You should have named you got a better name. Yeah, I don't know that to be true. I'm gonna have to ask her. That's what I'm saying. I never heard of that. No, I don't talk about people stuff like that. I never said that. You always think you're sneaky. You're not sneaky. I'm sneakier. You're the snake and I'm snakier. That's why you can't go lower. You're just trying to say weird shit. I don't know that to be true. I'll have to ask Valley Girl how she is. I don't care if you're telling me. That's why I know that it might just highly likely that it's untrue if you're telling me. And you're just saying, I'm gonna make sure I gotta see she's okay. Jiminy Christmas. And what was that convoluted? And by the way, yeah, $1,000 you probably would end up having to pay somebody. You're lucky you got friends like her. She wasn't your friend who's gonna make up lies over her because she wouldn't give you $200. I remember that though. Yes, there's a video. Yes, there's a video. So yes, just stop. Just stop. She's a nice person is what she is. Whether or not she's your friend, I don't think you have any friends because of stuff like that. I was trying to be cool with you. So, you're kind of like a little, you're weird whenever you get pissed off. I'm the same way though, so that's why I can call you out on it. I can clearly see it. I'm very mean and vindictive and hateful whenever I'm upset, so that was very rude. But it's good that you were able to smooth it over and apologize. That's all that matters. And she's a very nice person, so she's not going to hold it against you. I just thought it was funny to point out how much money you were saving by just in general. And now you can have a good day.
Oh, also, I believe Ski that sometimes he's receptive to constructive criticism, and then other times, like he said, when he gets mad, like Michelle gets mad, that he loses his rationale. But those moments of losing rationale and cruelty can make a person, a supporter, unsure if whether or not they should continue doing so, supporting you, because of the things that you say in those episodes. I don't even know if you apologize after those things happen. I think sometimes you probably have. I haven't watched in a while. Michelle does. I think the person I've seen her repetitively apologize to is tragic. And granted, the awe fades the number of times the attacks happen and how awful and vile the things that are said. But it doesn't, it's amazing because, well, how vile they are and the wears off. The amount of belief you have in that person, believing in them, continues to decrease every time it happens. And the feeling that you shouldn't support that person also increases every time it happens. So I do think that they can relate. I think Skimask Andy has way more potential than Michelle does because he's more than a decade younger in age. And he is a lot more, and I know people will come for me for saying this, but he's a lot more cognizant and accountable of what he did in his episodes than Michelle. Usually Michelle's drunk, it seems like, and half the time when you tell her she said or did something or admitted to something she denies later or doesn't know that she actually admitted to, she continues to deny it, unless in a certain space of mind. Otherwise, she doesn't even know that she said it. So I think that they're similar, but I also think that I believe Skimask Andy more, and I know people will say they don't, when he does listen to feedback. You watch him play Charlotte and things like that, and he might get upset and say crazy things, but I doubt Michelle even listens to those things without the sole purpose for doing so being because it's about her and because of that narcissistic tendency in her ego. It isn't because she wants to hear maybe something she hasn't thought of or to get an outside perspective looking in on her that she can't conclude herself. But maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. I just wanted to point out that yes, he acknowledges that he can be really mean sometimes, but I don't think the magnitude of those moments he's completely aware of.
Like last Friday, I was supposed to fly out, and there was horrible weather,